I had all this background with food, you know, since I was 11. And my other love and passion was science, and I was good at science, and I loved taking care of people. So that was kind of the nest of things that I was good at and that I had passion for. So then I thought, well, I'll become a doctor, because if you want to take care of people, you become a doctor, and I was good at science, and so it made sense. But I was really into preventative medicine and talking to people about diet and lifestyle and exercise, and I wasn't seeing that happening in the way the current system is set up with Western medicine. So I started studying naturopathic medicine, and it's very much about health and nutrition and preventative medicine. So that was fantastic, because I started to bring in the food elements again. But then I was looking at, a lot of the ways I learned to cook with my mom aren't necessarily healthy, you know. So I was looking at how could I make those more healthy and still preserve the, still preserve the culture that goes along with it. And then I ended up with some health problems myself. The program was very stressful. I was working a lot of hours waiting tables, and ultimately it was Chinese medicine that helped me. So I became very, very interested in Chinese medicine. It was the most brilliant, holistic medical philosophy I had ever encountered. And so I started taking classes on the side as much as I could. The naturopathic program was jam-packed credit hours, 28 credit hours a quarter. So I was taking, just as I could, little bits of Chinese medicine, and was completely in love. And what I discovered is that within Chinese medicine, there's this whole modality within the modality called food cures. And for thousands of years, the Chinese were looking at food and seeing how you could actually let food be your medicine for whatever was going on with particular individuals at particular times. And I thought, holy cow, this is amazing, and it makes perfect sense. So at that time, I started to see everything to come together. I had my love and passion for food and for cooking, and then I had my love and passion for nutrition and preventative medicine that was getting nurtured in the naturopathic program. And then I had this whole new sort of window open up that was really the science of seeing food as medicine, whole food as medicine for an individual. And so that's how it all came together, and that's what I took off with.
After working with Randine for a while and writing together, I really became more and more interested in the healing principles of food. So I went to study with Paul Pitchford, who wrote the book Healing with Whole Foods, and he's just an incredible knowledge base for how the principles of Chinese medicine apply to food and how we can use food in our bodies to heal. So I spent 3 weeks with him in the mountains of Garberville at the Heartwood Institute, and really felt in my own body how making the changes, resting more, exercising regularly, and eating only whole foods can change your entire system. So since then, I've been sharing the information that I learned with women and helping them to regulate their cycles, helping them to prepare for IVF cycles, and also just enhance their fertility naturally.
Very serendipitous how we met. I had met her husband first because he came to see me as a patient, and I started talking to him about the food stuff, because eventually if you're around me long enough, it will just come out. And he said, "You have to talk to my wife, she's doing the same stuff." And so we went for a hike, and sure enough, we had the same mentor, Paul Pitchford, and we were into exactly the same things: whole foods, health, Chinese medicine and how it fit into that, and holistic medicine. And so we just hit it off, and every time we'd go on walks together, we'd get fired up talking and brainstorming about these ideas.
I've never met anyone who loves food as much as me, first of all, so I guess when we got together and started talking about food and cooking in general, and I was specializing in fertility nutrition, and Tiff specializes in healing foods in general, and we just decided we wanted to collaborate on lots of different things. And so I guess I'd consider this the beginning, a starting point.
Yeah. So I've seen, I've had people come in that were told that they couldn't get pregnant naturally, and they were even given a really low chance of getting pregnant in vitro, and then they changed their diet and they had some acupuncture and then were able to get pregnant. And I've seen that many, many times.
A lot of the people that I work with are having trouble with fertility, and oftentimes they've pursued the Western medical route alone and haven't had success, so they get frustrated to the point where they want to take a step back and see what it's like to balance out their bodies. It's oftentimes, I was telling you about the fertility retreats, people go there to actually restore balance in their life, to get a physical imprint of what it feels to be in balance. And then I work with them to specifically change their diet. And you know, it's amazing to see the results that they have through really simple things.
When it comes to health and nutrition and healthy eating, what do I believe? I mean, one year it's low fat, high carb. The next year it's high protein, low carb. And then there's these constant sort of waves of diet fads, right? And this is why I love Chinese medicine, because it's really based in the roots of what's a particular constitution, what's the person's constitution, what season is it, and how do you best eat in season for what's going on with your body at that time. So the soundest advice I could give across the board to everybody for that particular question is there's no one exact way of eating that's perfect for everyone, except for eat as fresh as you can, eat in season, and then also if you're going to do animal products, you know, you want to get the most vital and the highest quality animal products you can get, and organic if you can get it. But if you're doing those things and you're listening to your body, a really beautiful thing starts to happen, and you start to actually trust yourself instead of all this stuff going on out there.
The cookbook is a really good adjunct to the cooking DVD. I wrote the cookbook based on my work with Dr. Randine Lewis and Paul Pitchford in Healing with Whole Foods, and it's a combination of how you should consider eating to enhance your fertility, and each recipe includes a little blurb about what healing foods you have in the recipe, so it's kind of motivational, and I think they taste pretty good. Yeah, there's nothing really funny in the recipes. They're simple things. They may be things people haven't tried before or haven't noticed at the grocery store, but they're very simple ingredients, and that was important to us because we want it to be accessible to everyone. It's pretty amazing to watch, though, you know, in your family when you start to see the improvements, because it really is beyond fertility, it's balancing. And so, you know, when you're used to, I used to make my husband my grandmother's cookie recipe on demand, you know, for the first, I want to say 5 years of our relationship. And it really affects a person, you know, those refined carbohydrates and the sugar really up and down. So when you start to see the progression of balance, it's really rewarding. You know, sometimes people are resistant to giving up the coffee, or they're resistant to different parts of it. I'm never going to be able to do this. And once they get into it, they just find they want to keep it for life because they feel so much more energized. And that is a beautiful thing to see when it becomes more big picture. I'm always all about, you know, the couples doing it together. Sometimes you find the woman likes to cook more, sometimes the husband likes to cook more, so it balances out. But the piece that's important to me is actually sitting down at the table and eating together and making that time sacred and mindful. You know, turning off the TV, lighting a candle, you know, taking time to just connect, because that's what we can do with food, and that's, you know, that's something that I'm really passionate about.
I've been really just pleasantly surprised with seeing the transformation in people, in couples together as they come together for this greater purpose. Transformation in their relationship and in their individual health.
The thing that makes me the most happy is to see the little changes that people experience through the dietary changes. So, you know, somebody will write me and say, oh my gosh, someone just commented on how clear my skin is. I'm so thrilled. I dropped 5 pounds without even trying or thinking about it. And of course, I'm always really happy to hear when someone's pregnant, because I absolutely love babies. So to get the pictures of the babies down the road, that's pretty spectacular.
We really want to look at what's going on with a particular individual. Where are they out of balance? And then how can we most simplistically help sort of guide their body's own natural intellect and intelligence back into this balanced state.
These recipes are really simple, and one of the most important things I do in my nutrition consults too is to speak to people where they are. You know, if they need to get food on the go, we can look at takeout menus and make meals that are compliant to what they need in their life. That's the most important, because if you have to set up a scenario in which people can succeed, and there's a lot of different ways to do this diet.
You start to create more inner balance by, one, letting some of those things that maybe you have been eating that really aren't serving any higher purpose for you, just letting them fall to the wayside and putting your attention on all the beautiful, really fresh, abundant things that are available to you that taste great, that maybe you just had lost focus of because we live in kind of an instant gratification type society. But you put your attention towards these things that are beautiful and wonderful, that as you'll be able to see on the DVD are easy to cook and create. And then you start to feel better, and you start to have more energy, and then you're more motivated to make even more wonderful meals. So that's where it starts. You'll start off making the actual recipes that we've shown you and we've talked to you about. But then what we want you to do is get creative with it and venture out and open up things a bit and go to the market in the fall time and pick out all of the local fall vegetables and maybe some fruits that might be out there, and start making, you know, your own fertility stew with nice ingredients that you're picking out in season. And you know, just pay attention to how those foods are actually going in your body, and they're nourishing every cell in your body. You know, fertility is very much about nourishment and about growth, and it has to start with us doing that for ourselves. I mean, if we don't start with doing it for ourselves, how can we expect to impart that into this, you know, this growing organism within us?
You know, when you're planning to have a baby, you want to start off with the basics of balancing out your body through food, through exercise, through awareness practices, and really, you know, learning how to nurture yourself and nourish yourself with food. One of the things I recommend to all the women that I'm working with is to go to a fertility retreat. It's a great experience to have, you know, that 5 days outside of your living zone where you can really replenish and get a feel for what that is and come back and create more balanced living in your lifestyle. And I would just enjoy the process, you know, treat it as a mystery and process of discovery in your own body, just really bringing pleasure to the experience wherever you are.
There's probably some elements that are out of our hands to some degree, but there is quite a bit that actually is within our power, and it's a beautiful thing to own up to that. Not even just in regards to fertility, but just in regards to our general health and well-being. I mean, how amazing is it to actually own up and take responsibility for the fact that, to a large degree, quite a bit of our health is in our own hands, and it is dependent on these choices that we make on a daily basis in regards to what we put in our mouth. And a lot of times we do this sort of unconsciously. So I would love if by watching this that people would become more aware of consciously eating, mindfully eating, and noticing actually what mindfully eating and conscious eating does to your body, how that can transform things. I like to say recipes for life, because it's really about learning how foods can affect your overall health and help balance the body. So recipes for fertility, recipes for life, inspiration not just for life but also for cooking, health and healing, and also hopefully inspiration and a deeper connection to food.